choosing the right astrologer to trust your birth chart with is so, so important. Just as important as finding a dentist that you trust. This is my claim, this is my take on it, and I think it's a subject that needs to be addressed. So first and foremost, I got this idea because on an astrology forum, a person said, hey, I have had 6 birth chart readings in my life now, and I feel like they all say something different, and I don't know which of them I should trust. And that made me think, this is interesting in so many ways. So let me address a little bit about that. So first and foremost, there are many lenses in which we can interpret astrology through. There's the Western tradition, there's the Eastern tradition, there is whole sign, there's Placidus, and etc. And it's not even just about the tools and the skill set of the astrologer. It's also about the astrologer's integrity, their ethic codes, how they perhaps are able and capable of showing you sides in where your soul is already aware of what's going on. They just give the language for what needs to be said at that moment in time. And so one of the common things for misunderstandings is that people think astrology is one thing. People think that if you have a birth chart reading, you will have, no matter who you ask, have the same answer because, hey, I have the same planets no matter what. And that is just not true. So it's the thing that you really need to understand is that astrology consists of 2 layers that are very crucial in order to become a good astrologer. First and foremost, you need to have the appropriate knowledge and the tools to technically be at a level where you are capable and able to read a birth chart in all its technicalities. So that is the ground layer, and that toolkit is just enormous, and it keeps expanding because there are different approaches to astrology. There's an evolutionary, a whole sign, there's Eastern, there's Western, there's all of these different approaches. But fundamentally, you would need to have someone that has the full knowledge about the technical side of astrology. Where this gets tricky or more nuance is that the next level to be a good astrologer is your ability to interpret complex data, and a lot of it as an art form, as a storytelling, to be someone who is good with words, who understand how to convey a certain story, a certain narrative, a certain archetypical pattern that the person in front of you are able to understand and comprehend. So now I want you to think about this. We have layer 1, the technical approach. Someone who knows what they are doing is very, very important. It's just like, everyone goes to medical school and get knowledge there, but because everyone is different, you don't know how well they did at their test. You don't know how well they were at histology or whatever it might have been, but they do get the same kind of education. That's sort of, there are these connections in astrology as well, that there are certain knowledge that you need to have and understand, but how well you know about it is very personal. And then again, the second side, which is the interpretative art. And I think that is where you have to be really tuned into what it is that you seek from an astrologer when you have a certain question. Because often your question, if it's like a specific area, will also set the tone of your reading. Another thing that is important is to choose someone in which you can see that maybe on their website, the way that they are explaining themselves, you find that this person has a trustworthiness, or that you can relate to them as a person as well, because astrologers can only go as deep as they have personal experience as well, as deep as they are able to interpret very complex life situations, soul situations, and data in general. And this has nothing to do with age of the astrologer or how many years that they have been practicing. Of course, it's nice to know that they have been looking into maybe hundreds of birth charts before they look to yours, because then they will be able to see pattern more quickly. However, this is not the most vital part. The most vital part is their integrity and their ability to convey a story in a moment of time that is ready for you to receive. So this is just the first part of a couple of series that I will go into regarding on how to choose an astrologer that can read your birth chart in a way that feels satisfying to you. Of course, it's also your responsibility to know what it is that you are seeking, to know if you want to go to a whole sign astrology, a Western philosophy or Eastern philosophy. That's part one, but again, a rule of thumb would definitely be to know that the reason why someone can have 6 different interpretations of their birth chart is that astrology is not one thing, and the level and skill set that the astrologer has that you go to are vital for the interpretation of your chart. So of course there are fixed things about the planets that you do need to know, but how you convey this, how you see the complexity, the aspects, how they communicate with each other in your chart, where the transits are at, and so forth, is just as crucially important when you have a birth chart reading. So that's just a little insights from me, and I hope maybe that is something, if you're looking to have your birth chart read by anyone, really go for the astrologer's profession, and what direction of astrology have they studied, whether you like their integrity, if you feel in alignment with them, if your soul is resonant with the messages that they have, it's something you can trust as well. And then of course also be very clear on your intention, like why are you seeking a reading? What is it in you that you need a language for, that you just feel called to ask in this moment? So I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope to see you in another video. Bye for now.